Right, this is my conclusion video of the top 10 points that I've done in previous videos for people that are wanting to run away from the UK and move abroad because they feel that the UK is completely broken and that they just want to run away. I've done a top 10 of things to kind of take into consideration. This is a conclusion video where I'm just going to mention a few other things that didn't really make it into the top 10. So to begin with, if you really want to move to a country and end up smelling sewage on a daily basis, then by all means move to a foreign country. Here in Italy, I mean, when I used to live in the UK, I don't recall in 47 years of my life ever, I mean, I used to live near farmland, so you would probably sometimes smell farm smell, but here is literally a daily occurrence. I mean, I've woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning a few times, and the smell of sewage is so intense that I can feel a burning in the back of my throat. I don't know if it's the chemicals that they use to use the sewage or what, but here just the smell of sewage constantly coming either from your kitchen sink or just generally the drains outside. We literally have drains down in our garages, in our cellars, that sometimes are actually overflowing with raw sewage in our garages and our cellar. I've never seen anything like that or experienced anything like that in the UK. So again, sometimes be thankful for what you actually have. At least you have companies that on a regular basis mostly come round and unblock drains and fix drains, but they don't have that here because it's just an expenditure that, again, they don't really want to use. They just don't want to spend any money here in Italy. So if you want a smell of constant sewage, move to a foreign country. Another thing as well, if you're quite happy with electrical wires, like workmen that come and do some kind of electrical, I don't know, repairs or something, are quite happy to just leave the dangerous uncovered electrical wire hanging from a ceiling or hanging from outside of a building or something. Again, UK, I would never see that. We have health and safety and trading standards in the UK, which again I am thankful for. I mean, this is the one thing that you will get from my videos, is what I'm trying to express is that you may think that the UK is broken and it has a shit ton of problems, but in hindsight of having moved to another country, I've lived here for 7 years, I think, and in 7 years all it's done is make me appreciate what I actually had in the UK and what we have in the UK. We have all these different types of systems, and it's quite funny, as one of the videos that I want to review and talk about in a couple of videos time is a guy that I started watching back in January. He started with a video saying he's 46 years old and he's starting his life again. He'd been made redundant from a sales job and is now in that process of the UK is screwed. He keeps showing videos of things to do with like the council tax and television license and how much he has to pay for his car and all of these things that I agree with him. They're things that used to piss me off when I was in the UK, but at the same time, the one that I've just watched yesterday was to do with, what's it called, the HRMC, is it HMRC? The tax people anyway. He was complaining, he's basically tried to do a self-assessment and trying to pay his taxes. And he's received a letter and he's gone through all of this mass drama of having to phone up. He went to a website first of all. He wasn't able to get the years that they requested. It wasn't present on the website for whatever reason. So he then had to contact the help people. The help people, after a 30-minute wait on the phone, eventually got through. They weren't able to help him, so they sent him off to the tech support. Tech support, after another 20 minutes of waiting, got through, and he basically said they couldn't help him. You've got to speak to the digital people. So he then went to another, sat in the waiting thing again for another 20 odd minutes. Then eventually they sort of said, oh, you need to do this, and we sent him back to someone else. And he's been going back and forth. Eventually got to some other person that said that they were going to send through the physical paper copies to him, to which he replied, oh, I'm not being funny, but literally a week and a half ago, I spoke to someone else who said exactly the same thing, and they still haven't sent it. They still haven't arrived in the in the mail. So he was going bananas about it, basically saying, look, I'm trying to pay my tax, and the whole system is so broken that he wasn't even able to pay his tax. So I understand all of that stuff, but at the same time, I always say at least those systems are actually there. They're in, they've been paid for by, I don't know, the public purse or whatever, but at least they actually exist. Somewhere like here in Italy, they just don't exist. You would have to physically go to an office and sit there waiting, wasting your day. And if it's in the middle of the summer, then you're in a world of hurt, my friends. You're sitting there in a stinky hot office. Probably have just like a tiny little water fountain for you to drink from, and you literally have to sit there and you have to go through all the paperwork like you probably would have once upon a time in the 70s or the 80s. Everything's just so far behind. Again, it's just made me more thankful for those systems that we have in the UK. As much as they were really irritating and stressful, at least they actually exist. So I kind of, think myself lucky for these sorts of things. What else could I say? So yeah, rubbish. Again, rubbish. As I said in the previous video, I saw an image posted to a local forum of my old hometown where there was a bin that was slightly overflowing with a couple of bottles that were on the floor, and someone is making such a massive drama of it. I think one day what I'll do is I'm going to just try and do a video and show you the differences. The bins over here compared to the overflowing bins in the UK. The rubbish here in Rome is just so disgusting. I walked past bins yesterday and it smelt like people had been shitting in it. They were just disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And at least in the UK, every household has its own set of wheelie bins, one for recycling, one for your general waste. Here, they just have the big biffa bins, like 5, maybe 6 of them, at the side of the road. So they don't even have like a biffa bin for each apartment block. 2 biffa bins, like I used to have basically when I was in the UK and I was living in a flat that was my sister's, paying rent to my sister. They had a bin block, and in the bin block they had like a set of bins, one for recycling, one for general waste. And they had that in literally every apartment block. Every UK household would have its own wheelie bin for recycled and general waste. And then you have the bin men that come round and collect them all. But here, you literally have just a set of biffa bins at the side of the road, which a lot of the time will just be in stupid locations that either cause accidents. The one that I'm thinking about now, across the road from ours, literally we're right-hand drive, obviously. So on the right-hand drive, on the right-hand side of the road, you're driving along, then there's a set of bins. Literally straight after the set of bins is a zebra crossing for people to go across. You're literally putting your life in danger, stepping out from behind the bins to cross over this zebra crossing. Now, to us English people, councils would be getting sued for that sort of kind of shit. You would have a zebra crossing. If you had to have bins at the side of the road like they do, you would have the zebra crossing before the bins. So it's not such a problem. They also have, this is the next one that I'm going to move on to, is the driving. But I'll continue raging about the bins. So you have all of these biffa bins, and they're literally, I don't know how many blocks we've got. We must have about 8 different blocks of apartments around here. Each of them probably, here there's 5 floors. Each floor has 3 apartments on it, but then there's another three blocks after us, all part of the same, what's known as a condominium here. With this building, there's block A, block B, block C. Then there's another apartment block after that. There's one before us here, one over there, one over there, one over there. So there's probably about 6 of them. Don't know how many apartments are in all the others, but my point is there's just a shit ton of people that have all got to put all of their rubbish into just these 5 or 6 biffa bins at the side of the road. So it's inevitable that they're just going to be overflowing all the time. And they have wild boars, or they did have wild boars. I've not seen so many recently, but they had wild boars, like packs of them, about 10, 12, huge, great big, huge pigs, wild pigs, come and they go through the rubbish, because people aren't logical enough to think, I'll just check those bins from my balcony to see if they look empty, and then I'll go and take my rubbish out. People will just literally take their rubbish, find that the bins are already overflowing, and then they'll just leave the bin bag by the biffa bin, just so the boars can then come and rummage through, and then just rubbish everywhere, all over the street, all in the park, everywhere, in the trees, in the bushes. And then no one will actually come and tidy that stuff up. So it would just stay like that. It would just stay rubbish everywhere. And the thing that's most ridiculous about it is that people put these rubbish bins, these bags, down on the biffa bins. But the whole system is they have a bin truck that comes with his arms, picks up the biffa bin, chucks it into the back, puts the bin down again, and then he drives off. So all of these bin bags that are left on the floor are just left there. And it's up to like a local resident to then come along and have to pick it up and physically put it into the bin. Going on further about the bins, people complain about immigrants in the UK. Has anyone ever in the UK seen a person physically climb into a bin and start rummaging through the rubbish? I've never seen it or heard of it ever in the UK. Again, it's a very daily occurrence here. We've got Romany gypsies everywhere that literally turn up every morning in their van, their pikey little vans, with their 10,000 children, all in the back of the van and sitting in the front without seat belts. And then they literally get out. I've seen that we've got also a clothes bin where it has one of those things that you put the clothes in, close it, and it falls into the bin. I've seen a gypsy woman turn up here. They usually got prams, right, that they carry all their stuff in. Turns up with like 6 children. A couple of the children jump into the other bins, start rummaging through, seeing what they can salvage and what they can scavenge. The smallest one, she basically picks up, puts into this container that you put the clothes in, drop into the bin, and basically drops him into the bin. This like tiny little 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid. And then the 5-year-old kid basically just gets a handful of all these old clothes, puts them back in, she pulls it out, takes all the clothes, then closes it again, and the kid gets back in and then pulls it out again, and the kid gets out. They then go and basically sell all those clothes outside a market. They don't actually have an actual proper market store. They're literally just set up a sheet on a piece of ground and put all the clothes down and basically try to sell it. Again, another thing to be thankful for. Have you ever seen people that are literally rummaging through bins? It makes me feel physically ill watching them. These people, they're just so dirty and disgusting. I've never seen that ever in the UK. So yes, move on to driving. So driving, I've raged before about how annoyed I was that I got done for a speeding ticket going through a speed camera, 33 miles per hour in a 30 zone. Those sorts of things used to piss me off. Here, people just drive around as crazy as fuck. Just whatever speeds they want. Just everyone will just seem to think that they're in a Grand Prix. Driving around. There'll literally be 2 lanes. They'll turn it into 3, maybe 4 lanes. They're all everywhere. You've got motorbikes going in and out. People going through red lights. You just don't care. It's a nation of people that get in the right-hand lane to turn left. So there's a dual carriageway that I have to come back from dropping my daughter off to school, and it's got one left turn that goes round roundabout, and then there's the dual carriageway continues. So you'll get people in England basically will just get into that one turn to go left. You'll get people basically coming from the right hand lane to basically try to nudge their way into the left. So you'll literally get a small traffic jam that stops all the other cars on the dual carriageway being able to go along the straight road, because there'll just be a bunch of bellends that get in the right hand lane to go left. It's just a madness. And then you get all of these people that are just driving around constantly, just on their phones, just driving around 60 miles per hour on their phones, giving zero fucks at all about the fact that, you know, a child might jump out in front of the street, in front of the car, and they're just there busy talking on their phones constantly. Again, I'm just thankful for those sorts of things in the UK. Most people are clever enough to buy a thing that attaches their phone in the car. Or these days, you don't even have to do that. The phone would just wirelessly or Bluetooth connect to your car if you've got a modern one. But if not, you just get one of those attachments that has your phone, so you can just hands-free. They exist, you know, hands-free. Don't know why people here don't seem to understand it. They're all just driving around like fucking lunatics after their coffee in the morning, like they're basically like a hit of cocaine. Everyone's just going fucking bananas on their phones, going absolutely crazy, and then Then at the flip side of that, other parts of the day, they're all just like, it's like Sunday driving day. Who just don't care, just driving as slow. You get like 90-year-old people driving their cars just slow. You could barely see over the steering wheel, just driving. Just don't care about anyone else on the road. Everyone else has to go really slow because I'm an idiot. I don't know, if you'd experience these things I always use as my example Bali and Thailand, because that seems to be where everyone's legging it to. This is my conclusion video, basically, to sort of say, if that is your destination, I mean, you will find, I've mentioned it in one of the other previous videos, you will find the more that people start to go there, then the prices will start to go up. I don't see why people don't understand the logic of that. Everyone's all just like, oh, the UK's screwed, we've got to run away, we've got to avoid Starmer. And they all go off to other countries, and then you just find that the grass isn't always greener. That was my catchphrase that I started using at the start of all these videos. Grass literally is not always greener. Right now out there at the moment, it's all brown grass, just a scrapland, everything, weeds everywhere, dog poo. Yeah, there's a million and one other things that I can go on about. Just a very simple thing of just going into a shop and just the self-checkouts. I love them. I just want to go in, just buy something really quickly, just bosh. Just go in, just buy that thing quickly and you're off. Here, you'd have to stand in a queue of loads of old people counting out their coins, because they can't be bothered to have fucking self-checkouts. Even something simple like Apple Pay, or just using your debit card for pay for something in a supermarket, just won't even be able to do that a lot of the time here. They want you to pay in cash. Apple Pay especially, you don't find that many shops here. So you just end up in a supermarket behind all the old people counting out all their change. It's just ridiculous. And a simple thing like you would have in England, you'd have like a Tesco's Express or a Sainsbury's Local, like basically like a small version of the big supermarkets. And get that sort of thing here. It's just so locked in the past. They're just they've not really evolved like the rest of the Western world. These sorts of things, people going off to Thailand, and I would suggest, really, my biggest suggestion is, before deciding to go and move to a country, I think really you should go to, like, maybe get an Airbnb for a few months and just wing it, basically. Just check the place out, give it some recon, and just check if you would be able to live in that country ultimately. That's also, so that's the next part that I would add to this conclusion of the heat, the sun. I had got to the point that I was living in London and I would wake up every morning and it was just grey and raining and shit all the time, and it was horrible, it was depressing. And that's kind of why it appealed to me to come here, because I just thought I would get my nice amount of vitamin D and sunshine and be happier here in a better climate. But I cannot actually believe I'm about to say this, but I actually miss the rain in England. I think I said that in another one of my videos. I came here and I've discovered over the last 7 years that my body is built for England and England weather. Again, it's quite funny. I said that English people, they all just moan and complain about things. So people moan and complain about the fact that it's raining and grey all the time. The moment some sunshine comes along, they're all well for it and really happy with it. The moment it's like a proper heat wave, they all start complaining. We're all basically sitting there just going, oh, it's just too hot. It's just too hot. And ultimately that's what I've discovered. That's what's happened to me. I've come here, and sometimes when it gets to proper summer here in Italy, my body, it cannot deal with it. I literally cannot deal with the heat and having to spend time in your apartment, or if you're down at the beach house, you literally they get up, they frog march me first thing in the morning, frog march me at 9 o'clock, 8:30 or something, straight down to the beach, and we spend the whole morning down at the beach in the sweltering heat. A lot of the time it's nice because you've got the sea there, so you can just pop into the sea and cool yourself down. Sometimes there's a nice breeze. Sometimes there just isn't. Sometimes it's just pure dry heat that's just not basically made for humans. Again, this is why a lot of people are basically invading the UK, is because their countries are just inhabitable. It's just so hot that they can't do anything at all there. They just live in barren land. It's just like something out of an apocalypse. I've discovered this. I found this from myself. I mean, it literally took a year or so before I was having severe problems like with just hydration. I ended up basically getting kidney stones. I mean, I had kidney stones before when I was in London, but they got worse when I came here because I was just so dehydrated. I don't know if you see in a lot of my videos, I always got my pint of water. So I'm always just constantly having to hydrate myself. When I'm down at my girlfriend's parents' beach house, I can't be myself when I'm here. I always feel just like an outsider. Like if I was with my family, it would just be simple. I'd just say, right, I need to get some water today to go down to the beach. And I'd get a huge, great big bottle of water, maybe even two. I'd be prepared. I'd have it all ready in a special backpack with ice packs and all sorts. When I'm in her parents' house, I just feel nervous around them. I feel nervous around everyone a lot of the time when I'm here. I have to wait until mum and dad's kind of disappeared or not around, and then I go over to my girlfriend and I say quietly to her, can you get a big bottle of water? I really need to take a big bottle of water with me. I don't really want to go in. I can't speak to her parents, to be honest. They only really speak Italian. So I don't just go and take a bottle of their water that they've brought. They always buy water here. I don't think I've mentioned that one yet, but I'll go on to that about the water. Everyone buys bottled water here because just the tap water, you can drink it, yeah, but I would suggest buying one of those Brita filter things, because you do get a lot of grit and shit that comes out of your taps and it's just crap. Basically, I would suggest, just getting some kind of a filter system. But a lot of people just buy endless amounts of plastic bottled water here. So our parents go to the supermarket and buy these huge, great big, 6 or 8 pack of these 2 litre bottles of water. And I just want to take one of those down just for myself, and not just to share between everyone. I need one for myself because I physically cannot deal with laying on a hot, stink-ass beach and just getting so dehydrated that my piss is coming out like brown. I'm getting chronic headaches, and I don't know how Italian people can just walk around without sunglasses on. It's just constantly, I don't know if you can see it now at the moment, I'm squinting all the time. It's just the extreme heat, the extreme sunlight. So as I say, I can't believe I'm saying that. A lot of people think it's all like this dreamy notion of you go away to this beautiful sunny place and it's just happiness, but I've just found all these different issues, and I've just found that my body's just not, conditioned. I'm basically not conditioned for such extreme heat. It gets to the summertime and I can't wait to just jump on a plane back to England, go and have an English summer. Even if, I think last year I went back to the UK, I was there for 3 weeks. 2 of the weeks it basically was just on off rain with a bit of overcast, and then 1 week I had a bit of sunshine. I didn't complain. Everyone else is all complaining about it, going, "Not British summer." Do you know what? I actually really love this rain. I really enjoy it, strangely. So that was just another gripe. As I say, advice would be to get an Airbnb, go somewhere for like 2-3 months and actually see whether or not you're capable of living in that country, because there's no point in just selling all of your house up and then naffing off to some country because you've been there for a 2-week holiday and thought it was really nice. So you've actually really got to immerse yourself and see whether or not you're actually capable of living in such an atmosphere in such a country. Again, in regards to the heat, it gets to a stage in the summer that I literally cannot wear clothes. I see sometimes people on mopeds and motorbikes in the summer, fully in suits, like businessmen, in trousers with no socks on. That's how they do it in Italy. Your smart business shoes, no socks, really short, tight business trousers, and then like some kind of a blazer. And they'll be driving along on a motorbike going to their office. They're probably maybe an air-conditioned office, but I can't understand how they're even on that motorbike wearing like a shirt and a blazer. Me, myself, when I'm here, even sometimes when we've got the aircon on, I'm just sat in my pants. And even if my daughter and my girlfriend had gone off to the beach house and left me here on my own, I would literally be walking around completely naked at home, because every single thing just sticks to me. I'm just perspiring. That's where the dehydration comes from. Literally just sweating constantly, 24/7. I literally don't get a moment when I'm not just dripping and dying. Ultimately, I spend the whole night tossing and turning, unable to sleep. All the windows and doors and everything are open, but it's just so humid and so hot and really uncomfortable. I'm just constantly just drinking water, constantly having to piss all the time. It's just an absolute headache. Again, I'll repeat it for a third time. Go to your Balis, your Thailands, but go there and get a Airbnb, stay there for a couple of months and actually see whether or not you can actually hack living in that country. So that's my biggest ultimate bit of advice to people in my conclusion. So what else I've mentioned the driving. So yeah, the water, the sewage, the overflowing bins, dog shit, parks that are all covered in graffiti, broken glass everywhere, weeds, everything's overgrowing, systems like bureaucracy systems that are just stuck in the 70s and 80s and just haven't been updated. Simple things like technology of just using your Apple Pay or just a simple credit card. Sometimes in shops they just won't allow you. And I think I may even have said this in one of my really early videos, but I remember going into just a newsagent's once upon a time. I think maybe when I was 18, so over 20 odd years ago. I remember going in my debit card, picking up a small Wrigley's chewing gum, basically on my card, buying the chewing gum, but then getting £10 cash back. Cashback's only just become a thing here now, because there isn't just your standard machine, like what they're called, ATM machine, that you can just go and get cash out. In England, you'd find them pretty much everywhere. You'd find them outside of all your supermarkets. You'd find them in petrol stations. Sometimes you'd even just find them like a letterbox, ATM just in the middle of the street somewhere. But they just don't have those sorts of things here in Italy, especially because the crime. Basically, you'd probably just get gypsies and mafia people just coming and just robbing them all the time. So that's why you don't really see them so much here. Again, I mean, crime, let's go on to crime. People complaining about all the people, the gangster wannabes in London, and saying there's certain parts of London that you can't go to because of the crime, and they're all having knife fights in the middle of public areas. But go to any country, you're gonna find that pretty much most places. You find it here in Italy. There's always crime. Again, this is what I say about being a prison cell. I have metal grates on the windows. There's metal grates all on the doors. We've got double locks on the front door. In England, you've got, what's it called? Double glazed doors most of the time. And you literally just pull the door, pull the handle up, put a key in and lock it. That's it. Here, I've literally, it's like Fort Knox. I've got like at least 3 different things I've got to lock, because gypsies and all sorts, loads of criminals will just come and break into people's apartments. We've actually got one of those doorbell cameras, filming, because our next door neighbour a couple of years ago, she got broken into. We were woken at like 4 or 5 o'clock one morning, just hearing all this banging and crashing. Literally the other side of our bedroom wall is the living room for our neighbours. So we could hear all this banging and crashing at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then later on that day, basically the doorbell rings and it's our neighbour in tears saying that she'd just come back. She was a pilot. She'd just come back from flying somewhere, and she'd come into her house and everything fucked up in her place. They've gone through everything, taken all the cash that they could find, nicked her laptop, nicked her PlayStation, stereo. So ever since then we got a camera, like one of those doorbell cameras so we can see what's going on and just record. There's also our neighbour downstairs, Massey, the guy that I said who works for NATO, has also got one of these doorbell cameras, because when he's away in Brussels, even though his next door neighbour is actually his brother, and his brother's actually a forensic policeman, it just protects the block that we live in. Strangely enough, I'll do a video about our latest neighbours. We've literally, in the last 2 days, we've seen them on the camera basically sticking their fingers up at our camera, because I think they must feel that we've got the camera because we're spying on them. But the truth be known, we've got it to keep us secure, them, our other neighbour across the hallway, all of us secure. It's not to be spying on them, as much as it is kind of useful sometimes to see what's going on when we can hear voices of them coming in with friends and stuff. It's quite useful to just see what's going on. But yeah, the crime is just rife. It's just graffiti. At least some of the graffiti that I used to see in London was proper creative graffiti, proper bits of artwork, like Banksy style. But a lot of the graffiti that you see here is just Lazio murder as in like shit. Murd, M-E-R-D-A, I think. So Lazio murd, Lazio shit, as in football hooliganism. You've got two teams here. You've got Roma and you've got Lazio. So you just get all of this. Just some random people just writing. It's like if you're just walking around London and someone's just written West Ham shit. It's not even creative graffiti. It's just mindless vandalism of shitness. Don't know what else I could really rant about now. But yeah, going to another country isn't always the answer. Like the grass isn't greener. Just as I say, I can't remember if it's in this one, but I said about the heating thing that I've got up here, of trying to find a way of heating in the winter without having to actually use our electricity. I also watched a video the other week with some Indian guy that keeps all of his food scraps, his fruit and vegetable scraps, in a bottle. He does it up and he lets them, he puts something in it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he puts some kind of a liquid concoction in and some powder, and it ferments them all. And it basically turns it into like some kind of a gas that he can then put a tube into the top of this bottle, and he uses the gas from this fermenting stuff to cook with. So even that, that would save you money in the UK. Just you've got a whole wealth of information out there in the internet of finding ways of just saving yourself some money. And so instead of just thinking that the UK is broken, the UK is dead, and all of these things that I see as titles for people's videos, and then they all just run away to other countries, just use your noggins, use your brains, and educate yourself. Find ways to just get onto the internet and find ways that you can try and make some kind of money, side hustles they call them, on the internet. I'm currently in the phase at the moment. I've been experimenting with a lot of AI stuff for the last 2 years. It helps me making the videos of my daughter. I've recently done some AI video of characters that are helping, because actually doing a video with my 6-year-old daughter, like maybe a 10-minute video, is just a nightmare. They do say in the industry, the filming industry, never work with animals and never work with children. Unfortunately, I decided to work with a child. It's a nightmare. So basically, I've taught myself just from YouTube how to understand creating prompts, using those prompts in ChatGPT to come up with ideas for videos for my daughter's channel, scripts. Then I've gone on to doing prompts for images, like AI images, AI videos, or even doing AI music for her channel, and you can do it. So yeah, these sorts of things, just learn things from the internet. YouTube is your friend. There's always someone that's made a video about something. I'm going to leave it there for now. So that was basically my conclusion to all the top 10s that I've been doing. I'm going to try to move on now to other videos, reviewing videos of other videos of people that I've seen that have moved to other countries and basically found the same as myself, basically found that it didn't make them any happier, it didn't solve their money problems. They found that it basically the cost of living was worse, and there was lots of other taxes that they had to pay and all of these sorts of things. So yeah, and that's me done for today. Laters, potatoes.